Alrighty. Well, hello everybody. Welcome one and welcome all to the Junk Shop Library channel, home of so many things right now, but of particular interest to us right now and today, home of Improv Book of Mormon study, which is in desperate need of a catchier title. Let me know in the comments below if you think of anything. Where an atheist who has never read the Book of Mormon one day in his life is working his way through the Book of Mormon line by line and trying to figure out what on earth is going on. It's been quite entertaining so far. I should mention right out of the gate, this is not designed for children or the easily offended. Old Junk Shop doesn't pull a lot of punches, and I call them like I see them, and sometimes I call them using some very short words. You've been warned. All right. Well, before we actually launch into the book of Nephi, I must thank my patrons. And these are the folks who keep us on the air, who keep us streaming, who have allowed us to upgrade to the professional version of StreamYard, that allows us to do things like up and decide to start streaming a stream about the Book of Mormon in the middle of a Saturday afternoon because old Junk Shop is bored, which is exactly what happened last week. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all all, and I appreciate you more than you can conveniently know. Special extra super thank you and shout outs to my top tier patrons, my illuminated manuscript Captain Kimothy, and my genuine calfskin patrons Paul Camish and Bill. These folks really and truly have gone above and beyond with their support. It blows my mind, and it warms the very cockles of my heart. It does. Thank you. All righty, so do we have announcements? I don't think we do. We're back on the regular schedule. We will have the words of my life. Catechism. We'll have the catechism stream for patrons only at noon Eastern tomorrow, and then we'll be back into improv Bible study Monday, Wednesday, Friday of next week at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we'll take a break from various holy scriptures to have our mental health positivity hangout on Thursday, also at 3 p.m. Eastern. All right. I mentioned before I have not read the Book of Mormon a day in my life, and that's true, I have not. I was raised Methodist. I've been an atheist for closer to 20 years than 10, and I don't really know much about Mormonism. I've never seen the South Park episode that deals with it. I've never listened to the musical. I know nada. I have no apologetics cluttering up my brain. I have no early Sunday school and church and days training upon which to fall back for interpretation when I'm at a loss for one. These are things I rely on when I deal with the Bible. I have no such crutches with the Book of Mormon. Book of Mormon, we just dive in, see what it says on the page, and then see what comes out of my mouth. Paul, yes, I did very much enjoy the stream you were on earlier. That was very, very strange, but I enjoyed it immensely. If y'all didn't see Paul over on Music Analyst's channel earlier today, you missed an adventure, and you should pop over and check that out whenever you have some time and some facepalm protection. Because Mr. Music Analyst is an interesting character. Likeable, but interesting. All right. Last week we got through the front material. The testimony of Joseph Smith, the testimony of the 3 elders, and the testimony of the 8 elders. Lisa says they believe we are the literal sons and daughters of God. Oh, not figurative sons and daughters like Christianity. Interesting. All right. Which means that we turn today to the first book of Nephi, his reign and ministry. And I have, where's my damn glasses, y'all? There they are. And I haven't any earthly idea what to expect. Let's dive right in, shall we? An account of Lehi and his wife Sariah and his 4 sons, being called, beginning at the eldest, Laman, Lemuel, Sam, and Nephi. The Lord warns Lehi to depart out of the land of Jerusalem, because he prophesieth unto the people concerning their iniquity, and they seek to destroy his life. He taketh 3 days' journey into the wilderness with his family. Nephi taketh his brethren, and returneth to the land of Jerusalem after the record of the Jews, the account of their sufferings. They take the daughters of Ishmael to wife. They take their families and depart into the wilderness. Their sufferings and afflictions in the wilderness. The course of their travels. They come to the large waters. Nephi's brethren rebel against him. He confoundeth them and buildeth a ship. They call the name of the place Bountiful. They cross the large waters into the promised land, and so forth. This is according to the account of Nephi, or, in other words, I, Nephi, wrote this record. I like this format. Just as literature, off the cuff. You remember that was a thing back in the day. Was the little bullet point synopsis of the coming up chapter at the start of the chapter. And I always kind of dug that because it gave you sort of a sense of where the chapter was going. At least we know what we're in for now, in sort of general broad strokes. Let's get into the particulars. Chapter 1. Nephi begins the record of his people. Lehi sees in vision a pillar of fire and reads from a book of prophecy. He praises God, foretells the coming of the Messiah, and prophesies the destruction of Jerusalem. He is persecuted by the Jews. I, Nephi, having been born of goodly parents, therefore I was taught somewhat in all the learning of my father, and having seen many afflictions in the course of my days. Nevertheless, having been highly favored of the Lord in all my days, yea, having had a great knowledge of the goodness and the mysteries of God, therefore I make a record of my proceedings in my days. Yea, I make a record in the language of my father, which consists of the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. And I know that the record which I make is true, and I make it with mine own hand, and I make it according to my knowledge. For it came to pass in the commencement of the first year of the reign of Zedekiah king of Judah, my father Lehi having dwelt at Jerusalem in all his days. And in that same year there came many prophets, prophesying unto the people that they must repent, or the great city of Jerusalem must be destroyed. Wherefore it came to pass that my father Lehi, as he went forth, prayed unto the Lord, yea, even with all his heart, in behalf of his people. And it came to pass, as he prayed unto the Lord, there came a pillar of fire, and dwelt upon a rock before him. And he saw and heard much, and because of the things which he saw and heard, he did quake and tremble exceedingly. And it came to pass that he returned to his own house at Jerusalem, and he cast himself upon his bed, being overcome with the Spirit and the things which he had seen. And being thus overcome with the Spirit, he was carried away in a vision, even that he saw the heavens open, and he thought he saw God sitting upon his throne, surrounded with numberless concourses of angels in the attitude of singing and praising their God. And it came to pass that he saw one descending out of the midst of heaven, and he beheld that his luster was above that of the sun at noonday. And he also saw 12 others following him, and their brightness did exceed that of the stars in the firmament. And they came down and went forth upon the face of the earth. And the first came and stood before my father, and gave unto him a book, and bade him that he should read. And it came to pass that as he read, he was filled with the Spirit of the Lord. And he read, saying, Woe, woe unto Jerusalem, for I have seen thine abominations. Yea, and many things did my father read concerning Jerusalem, that it should be destroyed, and the inhabitants thereof. Many should perish by the sword, and many should be carried away captive into Babylon. And it came to pass that when my father had read and seen many great and marvelous things, he did exclaim many things unto the Lord, such as, Great and marvelous are thy works, O Lord God Almighty. Thy throne is high in the heavens, and thy power and goodness and mercy are over all the inhabitants of the earth. And because thou art merciful, thou wilt not suffer those who come unto thee, that they shall perish. And after this manner was the language of my father in the praising of his God. For his whole soul did rejoice, and his whole heart was filled, because of the things which he had seen, yea, which the Lord had shown unto him. And now I, Nephi, do not make a full account of the things which my father had written, for he hath written many things which he saw in visions and in dreams. And he also hath written many things which he prophesied and spake unto his children, of which I shall not make a full account. But I shall make an account of my proceedings in my days. Behold, I make an abridgment of the record of my father, upon plates which I have made with mine own hands. Wherefore, after I have abridged the record of my father, then will I make an account of mine own life. Therefore, I would that ye should know that after the Lord had shown so many marvelous things unto my father, Lehi, yea, concerning the destruction of Jerusalem, behold, he went forth among the people, and began to prophesy and to declare unto them concerning the things which he had both seen and heard. And it came to pass that the Jews did mock him because of the things which he testified of them. For he truly testified of their wickedness and their abominations. And he testified that the things which he saw and heard, and also the things which he read in the book, manifested plainly of the coming of a Messiah, and also the redemption of the world. And when the Jews heard these things, they were angry with him, yea, even as with the prophets of old, whom they had cast out, and stoned, and slain, and they also sought his life, that they might take it away. But behold, I, Nephi, will show unto you that the tender mercies of the Lord are over all those whom he hath chosen, because of their faith, to make them mighty, even unto the power of deliverance. And there we have chapter 1. I need a bookmark. Where's my damn? There it is. Okay. God's library. Says Fran. Yeah. Just grabbed a book of the prophecy off the shelf, brought it down, and gave it to Lehi. Here you go, buddy. Check this shit out. It's a magical book. Yeah, my poor plant hath been smited. It was smited by an unexpected cold snap when it was still outside a week or so ago. I think it's time for it to go off to that great brush pile in the sky, I'm afraid. Okay, so this is the testament of, ostensibly, Okay, this is the testament of Nephi, the son of Lehi, as was committed to the plates, the tablets, the discs, choose your word, that Joseph Smith found buried in the ground after the angel finally let him dig it up after 4 years of waiting. Okay? And at least he didn't have to bake in the desert. Ha! Lisa coming with the call back. Yeah, so at least before 586 BC, if we're to place this in the biblical timeline, because of the destruction of Solomon's temple in 586. Thank you, friend. Inconveniently lost. Yeah, well, there's that. So he's given a vision, Lehi is given a vision to go prophesy against Jerusalem and say it's going to get smoked because of its great wickedness. And the leadership in Jerusalem essentially laughs him off and says, that'll never happen. It's not like it's ever happened before that we've wandered away from the true ways of God and gotten ourselves smoked and carried off into captivity and shit. No, I can't imagine that could possibly be right. And they try to kill him, and they run his ass out of town, and he runs off into the desert with his family, as you would do too. No prophet is respected in his own town. Hey, Surf, how's it going? Thank y'all all so much for joining me. I know the pushing it off an hour at the last minute can't have been the most convenient thing, but I'm so glad you're here. There's a date at the bottom. At the bottom of the text? The footnote here says he departed into the wilderness in 600 BC. So at least that's, thank you. So at least that's the timeline we're going with here in the book. Ancient biblical timelines are not my strong suit, I will confess. And this is some entirely new stuff coming in here. I'm not real overly impressed with the writing so far. You can repeat something for the sake of emphasis, and that's fine. But saying, and it came to pass, as the start of a new sentence, at the start of a new paragraph, 5 or 6 times, it's not great writing, just from a literature standpoint. From a theological standpoint, there's not really much going on. It's just a tale of another prophet not being heeded by the authorities in power at the time, which is an entirely new and different story. Hey, Harmonica Man, how's it going? Yeah, so it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, does chapter 1. With the authorities in Jerusalem seeking Mr. Nephi's life, and with the pronouncement that Nephi isn't going to copy down verbatim everything that his dad said. He's just going to kind of give us the Reader's Digest version. But he is going to say in full everything that he did. So, we'll see how that shakes out. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Lehi takes his family into the wilderness by the Red Sea. They leave their property, Lehi offers a sacrifice to the Lord and teaches his sons to keep the commandments. Laman and Lemuel murmur against their father. Nephi is obedient and prays in faith. The Lord speaks to him, and he is chosen to rule over his brethren. For behold, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto my father, yea, even in a dream, and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Lehi, because of the things which thou hast done, and because thou hast been faithful, and declared unto this people the things which I commanded thee. Behold, they seek to take away thy life. And it came to pass that the Lord commanded my father, even in a dream, that he should take his family and depart into the wilderness. And it came to pass that he was obedient unto the word of the Lord, wherefore he did as the Lord commanded him. And it came to pass that he departed into the wilderness, and he left his house and the land of his inheritance, and his gold and his silver and his precious things, and took nothing with him, save it were his family and provisions and tents, and departed into the wilderness. And he came down by the borders near the shore of the Red Sea, and he traveled in the wilderness in the borders which are nearer the Red Sea. And he did travel in the wilderness with his family, which consisted of my mother Sariah, and my elder brothers, who were Laman, Lemuel, and Sam. And it came to pass that when he had traveled 3 days in the wilderness, he pitched his tent in a valley by the side of a river of water. And it came to pass that he built an altar out of stones, and made an offering unto the Lord, and gave thanks unto the Lord our God. And it came to pass that he called the name of the river Laman, and it was emptied into the Red Sea, and the valley was in the borders near the mouth thereof. And when my father saw that the waters of the river emptied into the fountain of the Red Sea, he spake unto Laman, saying, Oh, that thou mightest be like unto this river, continually running into the fountain of all righteousness. And he also spake unto Lemuel, Oh, that thou mightest be like unto this valley, firm and steadfast, and immovable in keeping the commandments of the Lord. Now this he spake because of the stiff-neckedness of Laman and Lemuel. For behold, they did murmur in many things against their father, because he was a visionary man, and had led them out of the land of Jerusalem, to leave the land of their inheritance, and their gold, and their silver, and their precious things, to perish in the wilderness. And this they said he had done because of the foolish imaginations of his heart. And thus Laman and Lemuel, being the eldest, did murmur against their father. And they did murmur because they knew not the dealings of that God who had created them. Neither did they believe that Jerusalem, that great city, could be destroyed according to the words of the prophets. And they were like unto the Jews who were at Jerusalem, who sought to take away the life of my father. And it came to pass that my father did speak unto them in the valley of Lemuel with power, being filled with the Spirit, until their frames did shake before him. And he did confound them, that they durst not utter against him. Wherefore they did as he commanded them. And my father dwelt in a tent. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, being exceedingly young, nevertheless being large in stature, and also having great desires to know of the mysteries of God, wherefore I did cry unto the Lord, and behold, he did visit me, and did soften my heart, that I did believe all the words which had been spoken by my father. Wherefore I did not rebel against him, like unto my brothers. And I spoke unto Sam, making known unto him the things which the Lord had manifested unto me by his Holy Spirit. And it came to pass that he believed my words. But behold, Laman and Lemuel would not hearken unto my words, and being grieved because of the hardness of their hearts, I cried unto the Lord for them. And it came to pass that the Lord spake unto me, saying, Blessed art thou, Nephi, because of thy faith, for thou hast sought me diligently and with lowliness of heart. And inasmuch as ye shall keep my commandments, ye shall prosper, and shall be led to a land of promise, yea, even a land which I have prepared for you, yea, a land which is choice above all other lands. And inasmuch as thy brethren shall rebel against thee, they shall be cut off from the presence of the Lord. And inasmuch as thou shalt keep my commandments, thou shalt be made a ruler and a teacher over thy brethren. For behold, in that day that they shall rebel against me, I will curse them, even with a sore curse, and they shall have no power over thy seed, except they shall rebel against me also. And if it so be that they rebel against me, they shall be a scourge unto thy seed, to stir them up in the ways of remembrance. All right, well, little family drama. Hey, everybody who comes swarming in, welcome. Good to see you all. Hey, Little Wolf, PJ. I see Geo Sam. I see For No Reason. Good to see y'all. Okay, so having been warned in a dream that his life was in danger, Mr. Lehi jumps up in the middle of the fucking night and grabs tents to sleep in and food to gnaw him on and his family, and goes bolting off into the wilderness of Sinai. When they finally stop after 3 days of panicked flight through the burning-ass desert, TM, they set up camp in a little valley with a rivulet at the bottom that empties into the Red Sea. And Lehi proceeds to wax poetic. He talks about how good the river is, and how he hopes his eldest son is like the river, flowing unto righteousness. And he proceeds to wax eloquent about his second eldest son, about how he hopes that his life moves in a faithful and straight course, according unto the precepts of the Lord. And he ain't saying nothing to Nephi, and he seems to have forgotten about Sam altogether. Lemuel, Laman, Nephi, and Sam. Poor Sam. Well, two older brothers start getting their britches in a bunch, because they start reflecting on all their shit that they had to leave behind when they had to panic out of Jerusalem in the middle of the night because their daddy wanted to walk around talking about how it was an evil place and was going to get smoked by the Almighty. So they had to leave their stamp collections and their Xboxes and their donkeys and their girlfriends and their heaven only knows all what behind. They weren't happy. They were, in fact, so not happy that they decided the best thing to do would be to kill their daddy and presumably go back to Jerusalem with his head in a bag and make amends with the rulers of the city. Except the Lord comes to Nephi in a dream and says, hey, your two eldest kids, they're kind of plotting against you to smite you to death. So he gets up and he backs them into a corner and he yells at them until they shake before him. And then he goes on about his business and they stop being little bitches about the stress that they're under and the straits that they're in. Now, big honking Nephi, young but of great stature, big honking Nephi starts praying to God a lot, and God starts talking back. And he tells his little brother Sam that he's speaking to God, and that goes better than could have been expected. he tells his two elder brothers that he's in conversation with the Almighty, and they laugh at him. So he goes crying to God, saying, my two older brothers don't believe me when I tell them I'm talking to the invisible friend that my father worships. And God says, oh, suck it up. Get over it. I'll bless you and your children, and you'll be exalted. Just read the fucking Pentateuch. I've done this prophecy I don't know how many times before. I picked you. You're going to have lots of kids. They're going to be mighty in the land. Those that stand up against them going to get smote, and they'll be fine as long as they fall on their knees and suck on that God dick. So, that's the end of chapter 2. Not a lot going on. I get the distinct feeling that whoever wrote this book may have read the Old Testament just once or twice, and may have done a little, just a little bit of, found a little bit of inspiration in the early parts of the big book of war crimes and outdated regulations, utter madness, and abuse. Yeah, I can do it without reading it off the page now. Aha! Abraham revisited, says friend. Yep. It does ring familiar, does it not? Lisa is very excited for what is to come. Yeah, Little Wolf Bible fanfic. That's exactly what it reads like. It really and truly does. Y'all want to keep going? We want chapter 3? We've only been going half an hour. Let's turn to chapter 3. Let's see how they get out of this mess. What do you reckon, guys? What's the over-under on God parting the Red Sea so that they can walk across on dry land? Chapter 3. Lehi's sons return to Jerusalem to obtain the plates of brass. Laban refuses to give them up. Nephi exhorts and encourages his brethren. Laban steals their property and attempts to slay them. Laman and Lemuel smite Nephi and are reproved by an angel. I like chapter 3 already. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, returned from speaking with the Lord to the tent of my father. And it came to pass that he spoke unto me, saying, Behold, I have dreamed a dream, in the which the Lord hath commanded me that thou and thy brethren should return to Jerusalem. For behold, Laban hath a record of the Jews, and also a genealogy of my forefathers, and they are engraven upon plates of brass. Wherefore the Lord hath commanded me that thou and thy brothers should go into the house of Laban and seek the records, and bring them down hither into the wilderness. And now, behold, thy brothers murmur, saying, It is a hard thing which I have required of them. But behold, I have not required it of them, but it is a commandment of the Lord. Therefore go, my son, and thou shalt be favored of the Lord, because thou hast not murmured. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, said unto my father, I will go and do the things which the Lord hath commanded. For I know that the Lord giveth no commandments unto the children of men, save he prepare a way for them, that they may accomplish the thing which he commandeth them. And it came to pass that when my father had heard these words, he was exceedingly glad, for he knew that I had been blessed of the Lord. And I, Nephi, and my brethren took our journey in the wilderness with our tents to go up to the land of Jerusalem. And it came to pass that when we had gone up to the land of Jerusalem, I and my brethren did consult one with another. And we cast lots, who of us should go in unto the house of Laban. And it came to pass that the lot fell upon Laman. And Laman went in unto the house of Laban, and he talked with him as he sat in his house. And he desired of Laban the records which were engraven upon the plates of brass, which contained the genealogy of my father. And behold, it came to pass that Laban was angry, and thrust him out from his presence, and said he would not that he should have the records. Wherefore he said unto him, Behold, thou art a robber, and I will slay thee. But Laman fled out of his presence, and told the things which Laban had done unto us. And we began to be exceedingly sorrowful, and my brethren were about to return unto my father in the wilderness. But behold, I said unto them that, as the Lord liveth, and as we live, we will not go down unto our father in the wilderness until we have accomplished the thing which the Lord hath commanded us. Wherefore, let us be faithful in keeping the commandments of the Lord. Let us go down to the land of our father's inheritance. For behold, he left gold and silver and all manner of riches. And all this he hath done because of the commandments of the Lord. For he knew that Jerusalem must be destroyed because of the wickedness of the people. For behold, they have rejected the words of the prophets. Wherefore, if my father should dwell in the land after he hath been commanded to flee out of the land, behold, he would also perish. Wherefore, it must needs be that he flee out of the land. And behold, it is wisdom in God that we should obtain these records, that we may preserve unto our children the language of our fathers, and also that we may preserve unto them the words which have been spoken by the mouth of all the holy prophets, which have been delivered unto them by the Spirit and power of God, since the world began, even down unto this present time. And it came to pass that after this manner of language did I persuade my brethren, that they might be faithful in keeping the commandments of God. And it came to pass that we went down to the land of our inheritance, and we did gather together our gold and our silver and our precious things. And after we had gathered these things together, we went up again into the house of Laban. And it came to pass that we went in unto Laban, and desired him that he would give unto us the records which were engraven upon the plates of brass, for which we would give unto him our gold, our silver, and all our precious things. And it came to pass that when Laban saw our property, and that it was exceedingly great, he did lust after it, insomuch that he thrust us out, and sent his servants to slay us, that he might obtain our property. And it came to pass that we did flee before the servants of Laban, and we were obliged to leave behind our property, and it fell into the hands of Laban. And it came to pass that we fled into the wilderness, and the servants of Laban did not overtake us, and we hid ourselves in the cavity of a rock. And it came to pass that Laman was angry with me, and also with my father, and also was Lemuel, for he hearkened unto the words of Laman. Wherefore Laman and Lemuel did speak many hard words unto us, their younger brothers, and they did smite us, even with a rod. And it came to pass, as they smote us with a rod, behold, an angel of the Lord came and stood before them, and he spake unto them, saying, Why do ye smite your younger brother with a rod? Know ye not that the Lord hath chosen him to be a ruler over you, and this because of your iniquities? Behold, ye shall go up to Jerusalem again, and the Lord will deliver Laban into your hands. And after the angel had spoken unto us, he departed. And after the angel had departed, Laman and Lemuel again began to murmur, saying, How is it possible that the Lord will deliver Laban into our hands? Behold, he is a mighty man, and he can command 50. Yea, even he can slay 50. And why not us? That's 1 Nephi chapter 3. Busy little chapter. No, Greg, we're not going to take a drink every time I say, and it came to pass. We'll all be unconscious before we get through the next chapter. All right. So, they're camped out in the wilderness at the edge of the Red Sea. And having left all their shit behind, Mr. Lehi looks around and says, I didn't bring my genealogy textbook with me. Damn it. All right, kids. I'm 90% sure I left it in our neighbor Laban's house back in Jerusalem. So I need y'all to round up and go the 3-day journey all the way back to the city that they chased us out of trying to kill us 3 days ago. And I need you to go to our neighbor Laban's house and ask him to give up the enormous tablets of brass that have our genealogy on them and are valuable just for the amount of brass they contain, let alone the knowledge and language thereon. Just convince him. Tell him it's the word of the Lord. And the 2 eldest kids, for whom I'm starting to have more respect every minute and every verse that goes by, tell him he's fucking nuts out of his gourd. They say, Mr. Laban, I know old man Laban. There is no fucking way he's going to give us anything, let alone valuable artifacts, just on the say-so of you and your God that you're the only one who seems to be able to hear. You and crazy little Nephi over here. Large of stature, but young. And he says, do it anyway. So they humor the old man. And they schlep all the way 3 days walk across the burning ass desert, TM. And they go to old man Laban's house. And they go in and they sit down to dinner and he says, y'all have been away a minute. And last I heard, weren't the rulers of the city trying to kill y'all asses? What the fuck are you doing back here? That's in the original Celestial tongue. The idiom doesn't necessarily translate well. And they say, well, we're here for our father's genealogy tablets. You know, them big honking chunks of brass with the writing graved into them. He says, I ain't giving you that. That's valuable. Now finish your dessert. Be on your way. So they leave. And 2 older brothers, for whom I'm having more and more respect each minute with each verse that goes by, say, okay, here's a thought. Let's go pack up our shit while we're here. Hell, maybe we could buy the plates off of old Laban. Or maybe we can dawdle around spending so much time rounding up our trading card collections and our Xboxes and shit that maybe the old fart will die and we can just spirit them away while everybody's off at the wake. So they gather up all this shit. And they go all the way back to old man Laban's house. And they get there and they say, hey, we've got stuff. Could we trade? God is very insistent that we get these brass plates of the genealogy. And old man Laban says, I've got a better idea. See how this strikes you. What if instead I have you murdered and I take all your Xboxes and I keep the tablets too and I dump your bodies in a ditch behind a house? And so they run away. And have to leave all this shit behind because all this stuff is heavy and they can't traipse it all across the burning ass desert TM at a sufficiently expeditious rate to get away from the apparent household army of old man Laban. So old man Laban gets all their trading cards and their Xboxes and their men servants and maid servants and cows and silver and gold and shit. And he gets to keep the genealogical tablets. And they hide in a cave in the rock. And while they're sitting there bitching and moaning and belly aching at each other, Nephi says, I've got an idea, big brothers. I've got an idea. Let's go back and try it again. It's the word of God, after all. God is very insistent that we get Daddy's special brass book. And the two elder brothers have had all they can fucking take at this point, and one of them picks up his walking stick and just starts wailing on his little brother and just won't stop. Goes full-on Balaam's donkey on this whippersnapper and will not stop until poof! Angel. The angel says, stop beating up your brother and go get the damn tablets, you stupid son of a bitch. And then he, poof, he's gone again. And that's the end of the chapter. This is the most peculiar book. At least he knows how to end a chapter on a cliffhanger. So far, we've had 2 chapters, 2 cliffhangers. One of them with a poofing angel. And one of them with brother smiting. With a stick. Okay. This feel a little half-assed to anybody else? I mean, the narrative has a through line. I can follow it. I can tell what's going on. I've got some major problems with the diction. These endless and it shall come to, and it came to passes are really starting to make my teeth itch. The language is clunky. And it's very serial scripture, says Fran. That's a great way to put it. It's how long has it been since you read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland? It's a personal favorite of mine. But it was originally published serially, and it reads that way. And if you try to sit down and read that thing cover to cover, it is jarring. You'll have a chapter, a carefully crafted little story within the story. And then you'll have the next chapter, which has only the through line of Alice is in it. And this goes on through the entire book. This isn't quite that bad so far. But it's just not real well written. And it's got these weird... I mean, it's not that this is a crap translation of something, 3 languages removed that was originally written in 1530. This was written in, what was it? Fran probably knows. 1830. Okay? I mean, let's face it. It was originally written in 1830. It was not translated from giant golden laser discs that had been buried in upstate New York for 500 years. It just wasn't. Yeah, same thing with Sherlock Holmes. Exactly. A lot of the novels do not work real well if you're reading them cover to cover. Now, having said that, by the time we'd gotten this much of a word count into the Bible, we already had the doctrine of original sin, the appallingly bad science of the creation narrative, and the institution of woman as a second-class citizen. So far, at the end of chapter 3, I'm going to take the Book of Mormon over the Bible. Now, I don't know what horrors and terrors lie in wait ahead of us, but so far, there's not a lot to kick against. There's no conceivable chance that that was intentional, is there? All right. Well, these chapters are, this is, Mr. Shadow Kitty, what kind of wine am I having? This is a Carlo Rossi Burgundy. It's a $20 jug. Living that junk shop life. It's tasty enough, and it gets the job done. All right. Well, we're coming up on the top of the hour. These chapters are a little longer than the chapters we're used to in the Bible, so we're not going to be getting through as many per episode, it looks like. So glad to see all y'all here. So happy you joined me this evening, or afternoon, or middle of the goddamn night, whatever it is, wherever you are. We'll be having another episode, same time next week. That'll be 6:30 Eastern, because I forgot to, when I originally scheduled this, I forgot to leave a buffer in case One Ring's Dungeons and Dragons game ran long. Yeah. So, if you're Patreon members, remember we've got the Catechism stream tomorrow morning at noon Eastern. If you're not, consider becoming one and gaining access to the Catechism stream at noon a.m. Eastern. Noon a.m.? No, noon o'clock. 12. Little hand and the big hand, straight up and down. Noon. So, until, hey, Junie, I did not see you sneak in. Welcome. Glad to see you in the chat. And if you miss everything else between now and a week from Sunday, make sure you tune back in, if you would, for the 250 subscriber celebration stream, the great junk shop communion bread taste test. Got to get me some blood orange marmalade. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to use Brainbug's outro here because we got more smiting in this this last couple of chapters than we've had in most of the book of Isaiah so far. And as we always say before we roll out of here, everybody take care. Be safe. Stand against hate. And we will see y'all again soon.